sa ende mene fowe aviwe e pou pochiwenu e puis fui pou manger.
That will be $78.50.
What? All that money for two little things?
And an additional 50 cents if you want a plastic bag.
Or you get enough of my money already. I worked with my reusable bag. It's stronger and all I need is one. Or you shouldn't even be giving plastic bags. Or you're not hearing all the announcements from Ministry of Environment then. For the little bit of time we use a plastic bag, it takes thousands of years to decompose. That's not good for the environment. And another thing.
Wait, Papa. Next, please.
My lady, she writing, plastic clogs drains and cause flooding. Animals on land and water can also be killed by plastic pollution.
Opt out of using plastic bags when possible or use reusable shopping bags for carrying groceries and other items. Remember, our environment, our responsibility.
Good morning to listeners of DBS Radio. Welcome to the first episode of 2026 of the Ministry of Environment, Rural Modernization, Kalinago Upliftment and Constituency Empowerment weekly radio program, Talking Environment or Responsibility. It's maybe a little too late to say Happy New Year, but just wishing everybody all the best for the upcoming year and beyond. My name is Liam Sebastian, the host of the program, and just this morning we have two important guests with us as we start off our radio program here. But so before we get into that, just anybody wishing to join in this morning can do so on 1-800-327 448-3281 or on the overseas line 305-432-9744. So the numbers again, 1-800-327 448-3281 and on the overseas line 305-432-9744. So this morning, as we start off, we'd like to say good morning to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Miss Lisa Valmore, to all the heads of department, members of staff in the Ministry of Environment, by extension the government service, and to everybody tuning into DBS Radio on this Thursday morning, the 5th of February. I'm sure you would notice that I didn't give salutations to the Minister and the PALSEC because these are my two guests this morning on the program. So we'll have the Honorable Minister, Honorable Kozia Frederick, and the Parliamentary Secretary, Honorable Darren Lloyd, joining me this morning. So just like to just say good morning to them and welcome them to the program. Good morning, gentlemen. Okay, we're just having some technical difficulties that we'll try to rectify as soon as possible. So just give us a minute as we try to rectify these issues. Minister, can you hear me? Pastor, can you hear me? Okay, All right, Minister, we can hear you.
Awesome, good stuff.
All right, so
Excellent.
good morning, Minister. As we work on getting the connections with PALSEC, so I don't think we have to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself formally, but I guess we can do so. Just this is our first program for the year, so as we welcome you, I guess you have the first words as how are things going with you so far?
Well, thank you very much, Liam. It's been a good year so far. We just ended our into the first month of the year, and we started off the year with a few challenges, and we have been able to deal with them frontally, and this is some of the things that we want to engage in the conversation this morning to make people aware that we are mindful of our role as the ministry with responsibility for safeguarding the environment. And we have a commitment to continue doing that with that protection. And we also want to make it clear that we are committed, we are the staff who's committed. And for the conversation today, Liam, you will hear, or the listening public will hear about the work that we've been doing and some of the challenges and lessons we have learned in the past year. And also, importantly, Liam, how we will continue to look at the priority actions for the new year, during this new year. And also how we treat all of this within the national agenda, and as we continue to build capacity within the ministry, but also to ensure that citizens also become part of this entire process. So Liam, I really want to thank you for leading the charge in this on this program to keep people aware. And also to thank the listening public, the wonderful folks who are tuned into DBS Radio online and via the normal media. Happy that we could have this conversation, and we expect that we could have a candid conversation that we could answer and respond to you in a timely manner as to what we do within the offices of the ministry responsible for the environment.
Okay, I think we have PALSEC on now. PALSEC, can you hear us?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
All right. So, well, as you come straight into the crease and you're batting, so we're just speaking to the minister, giving his introductory words. So, as we just started off the year, and how are things going with you thus far before we get into the meat of our discussion?
Thank you. Let me first say a pleasant good morning to yourself, Liam, of course, to our Minister, Honorable Frederick, our PS, I know she's listening, and all the staff of the Ministry of Environment. So the year started off very good for me. I am in good spirit. I'm very happy to join you guys today. Of course, we will be speaking about Ministry of Environment, on my part more specifically, constituency empowerment. So pleasant good day.
All right, so again, welcome, gentlemen, and thanks for coming. So I think the first thing that we'll do, as Minister alluded to in his opening remarks, as we spoke about 2025, if we can speak about some of the highlights, as PALSEC said, he will speak about constituency empowerment. But Minister, if you can start us off in terms of 2025, the highlights, some of the challenges that you have, as we have to bring information out to the people, as we know how important our ministry is.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. So 2025 was a challenging year for us in many ways, and also an important year as we continue to craft our way forward in sort of troubling times, because we do know that it's beyond cliche the fact that we are on the front line of climate change, and so within the last year 2025 we gave a lot of policy guidance and also technical support from the ministry's end, and the policy advice was basically leaning heavily towards the internal departments, because we have under our purview Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division, we have Environmental Coordination, we have Culinary Agro Affairs, Constituency Empowerment, the National Employment Program, and all of those are pillars, and we have added to that, we do have a statutory body in the name of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation. And so we have to ensure that we can give advice to those departments. And also, we do have external stakeholders, the UNDP, the World Bank, UNEP, all of the CDP. And so we have engaged them throughout last year. And these are the softer parts of what we do. It's the work that people don't see. but it's so important because we need to reflect and give advice on the environmental implications on all of those projects. So we also took this further afield. We 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 represented the island, the country, in regional and international forum. We represented at the COP in Brazil. We also participated in regional dialogue, looking at the carbon markets, for example, in St. Lucia. And also we had a wonderful dialogue on biodiversity, and we represented the country in Suriname. So it does doing those simple things. In 2025, we're able to increase the exposure to global best practices, not just on climate change, but also on biodiversity. And also we strengthen our capacity for our reporting, because when we sign into these MEAs, as we call them, international environmental conventions, we have to be compliant and we have to report. And in the reporting, we had also to highlight the challenges and the lessons that we learned. And so it was important for us to set the pace and working with the international policies and developments, and how we could improve our internal systems in terms of how do we coordinate and how do we also update our national frameworks. We have had interministerial collaboration that and from where we see that environment, we use a whole of government approach. And so the work that we do, it crosses lines with physical planning, with agriculture, with tourism. And so we've been able to do that. There are some major lessons that we learned, that we have to be strategic in how we do those implementation of projects, so that we can maximize on the financing that we have available to us. And so this really set the tone for our major priority actions in 2026. And so for us, Liam, as you know, we've been able to do the softer parts of ensuring that we are compliant, we have good partners, we continue to rally the call for keeping Dominica clean and green, and this in a nutshell, was what we did in the past year. And when we go through the department by department, if we can do this today, you will see how we were able to translate now policy into practice. So that's another key thing that we'll talk about in the movement forward. So as an example, in the NEP, and I will just pause after this. The mandate is to give some employment to and make sure people are ready for the workforce, and also while doing so, develop skills. So while we're doing all of the softer part in ensuring that the NEP functions, we're able to have we had 3,857 participants placed across the public service, the private sector, community programs, environmental and beautification activities. And this really, Liam, contributed to poverty reduction, the making sure people are ready for the workforce, and also a sort of what we call an inclusive growth. We saw the importance of having women participate in that venture, and also include vulnerable groups and people who are differently able. And so Liam, we've been able to ensure that all of the roads traversed throughout the country were kept clean and green, and we're talking about over 320 kilometers of road. So Liam, that in a nutshell is what we would have done in 2025. Just looking at how we connect policy to practice in 2025.
All right, Minister, thank you very much for that. Palsec, you want to give us your highlights for 2025, and as Minister just did some of his.
Yes, thank you very much, Liam. I think one of the profound advantages that we have at the Ministry of Environment is that we have very good leadership in the person of Honorable Frederick. I'm very happy to serve with him and the rest of our ministry. As it relates to constituency empowerment, of course, the name basically speaks for itself. For those who maybe listen and don't understand what this faction of the ministry is about, it's basically about empowering people. So everything that basically revolves around employing people, that's why we speak of constituency empowerment. As it relates to some of the highlights of 2025, of course, you would understand in every constituency there is a constituency office. Constituency office is basically responsible for all of the matters relating to that particular constituency. So, in an effort to ensure the operation of every constituency empowerment is very much vital. One of the key things that we did as far as that is concerned is to ensure that every constituency office possesses the resources that it needs or that it needed at the time to ensure that those such operations continued to be possible. We also formed a very profound core team to ensure that we do some visits, which started sometime in September. So we would have visited majority of the constituency offices in an effort to understand some of the challenges of the employees there, to understand some of the challenges as it relates to the resources of the office, whether or not there were any, to figure out what are some of the things that were missing or the things that they needed. Just basically listening to some of the complaints in an effort to circumvent those challenges. Additionally, of course, we embarked on a very progressive mission, and that is to encourage what is called backyard farming or backyard gardening. So you would have seen that we targeted a particular particular constituency in an effort to improve backyard gardening in that particular area. So we would have distributed in excess of 100 seedlings, for example, to that area of different food type, in an effort to encourage, as I said, backyard gardening. Of course, we'll not stop there. This year, we plan to be obviously much more productive than we've been. We continue to do the work that was set out for us. We are looking forward to 2026 in great anticipation and with great optimism. So this year, for example, we want to focus on a lot more capacity building as it relates to increasing the competence of a number of young people as it relates to entering the professional world of work, and etc. I'm sure we'll get into that as the conversation progresses. But I believe that 2025 was very much progressive. I don't believe we had any major complaints from any of the constituency as it relates to the offices and the office operations. The complaints that we have received, we have worked seriously towards minimizing those challenges and those complaints.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Palsec. Minister Palsec just spoke about understanding challenges and so on. For you two, not only as ministers of environment and all of that, you guys are also parliamentary representatives. What are some of the challenges, or how challenging has it been, or was 2025 for you guys in the positions that you guys yield?
So, Liam, as parliamentarians, we're always mindful that we serve people, and the needs of the people are our major priorities. And while we sit as ministers and of the cabinet and we do policy, and we look at the general policy direction for departments of government, we're also mindful that we have people. Luckily for me, Liam, I sit in a unique position. I am the parliamentary representative for the Salbia constituency, which includes the Salbia, the Kainago territory, and which has a council called the Kainago Council, and the Atkinson community, which is a double community of Atkinson and Trizzel, but there's actually a village council in Atkinson. So I serve. So in my portfolio, under Kainago upliftment as a unit, a department of the ministry, I get to serve as a parliamentarian as well. So the needs of the people are served primarily through the offices of Kayanaga Upliftment. So, for example, in last year, we looked at two major projects. Apart from the housing, the public support to elders, school transfer grants, all of the national programs, we in the Kayanago territory, we in the cyber constituency are benefiting from those. But importantly, though, we realize that there's a uniqueness in that space, and we were able in the last year to really move in a very aggressive way to do two major things: to look at how we treat with disaster preparedness in a very robust and solid way, something that we can actually physically feel, and also to look at the softer side of how to prepare for disasters. So as the pilot, I was able to use a project that sits with the Department of Kayanago Affairs, or the Kayanago Upliftment, the Kayanago Multipurpose Center Disaster Shelter in Baraka. It's constructed. It's been constructed as we speak. It's expected to complete completed by the end of this year. And we really, I see that the 80% of the workforce is from the community, and the one side during the past year, over 40 of those people are from from my constituency. In so doing, we also did the softer part by establishing the Hamlet Development Committees that support the readiness of the community for the coordination of that building when it's done. And we have ongoing capacity building for committees, which focus on emergency procedures, communication, and even their own response route. And while doing this, we realize that we have to do a little more disaster management and preparedness work. And so we are doing a disaster management plan and operational manuals. Yeah, we have shelter management guidelines that we're doing, and also even as far as security and access control procedures. So all of these, they are the softer parts. So I benefit from as a pilot from the work of the ministry in that light. And of course, Liam, we are faced every day with people who have challenges with health, with healthcare, with people who are trying to survive and dealing with small issues. So we will that conversation as the pastor spoke to early on. We've been able to do a task to visit constituency offices across the Dominica landscape and to understand what is needed at the constituency level. And what we see is not unique to my constituency. People need basic services. They want access to passport application forms, to access to basic information. How do they process an application to the WASCO, or how do they treat with if they want to get the services from the national healthcare and at the hospital, etc. So these are those common threads that happen throughout, and I think most of the parliamentarians like myself face this on a day-to-day basis. Students need support for college. Students overseas, they need support for the upkeep, and those basic things. Some roads may need a bit of patching, and these are the things that we do every day. So for me, it's a task I continue to do, and I think that the community is better for it. But I'm also mindful that in my role as a parliamentarian, a PAL rep, as we are called, that people have also a role to play. That everything can't just be left on the PAL rep's account. That we are citizens of a country, have to play our part in ensuring that we make the right decisions. We take on our roles and responsibilities as equal citizens in our country, and our role as parliamentarians is to assist the process, to make it easier for the services provided by the government to be accessed by the local people. So for me, Liam, this has been what I've been doing. It's always a challenge to respond to every need of everyone in a community. It's not easy, and I think I just want to shout out the people from the cyber constituency for their patience, for their and also for their guidance in some instances of how I could be better at doing this, better at saving them. So I'm excited about the prospects for the rest of this year. within the Carnago space, within Atkinson, within the entire constituency, we are continuing to develop projects that will make people's lives better. But also, we are mindful that we are part of a national movement to build a resilient Dominica, to continue to play a part in keeping the environment clean and green. And we just want to say that we want to continue to participate as equal citizens in our country, and that we will not relinquish our responsibilities as citizens and also parliamentarians. So that is it. I think it's a unique call to be a parliamentarian. That's not for everybody. Sometimes I'll be honest with you, and I'll be honest with you. Listen, public. Sometimes I have to clench my teeth and take a deep breath, because sometimes you feel that some situations may need a strong tone, but at the end, I think people are being reasonable, and sometimes they make statements or they take actions because of their situation, and I cannot, as a member of parliament, fault them for that. So, Liam, it's not easy. If you want to try that thing, it's going to be a tough one, because you have to deal with all types of people from all stratas of society, and then you have to be able to listen to those people and at the end, kind of help them to resolve some of the issues that they're facing.
I think I stay on my side of the fence. I stay in my crease in that sense. But so, Parsec, I want to ask you now, because as you just heard the minister, he had situations where he had to take a deep breath as a parliamentarian and also leading the charge in the ministry. How about you, though, in terms of those challenges, and how would you rate the level of success in 2025 as we head into the new year? Well, we are into the new year, but yeah.
Well, I can say to you, minister isn't necessarily unique to the challenges. As a matter of fact, it's something that's felt across the board. We know right now we live in a world that is much more challenged than before. We understand the geopolitics around the world. Obviously, Dominica is not unique to any of those challenges. So as it stands, the world right now is much more difficult to live and obviously to govern. So as a parliamentarian, I can tell you it's not an easy task. Obviously, I was not a parliamentarian before, so I cannot speak confidently as to how it was before. But what I can say is we have our fair share of challenges, which is why I continue to remind the people of Dominica that experienced leadership at the end of the day really matters, especially in these crucial times that we live. There are a number of things, for example, that we'd like to do where the development of Dominica is concerned. But we are living in an age where you must prioritize some of your developmental projects, which is why we are actively behind certain projects. For example, International Airport, those mega projects that we're speaking about, which is going to trickle down into more economic activity nationally. To respond to your question, frankly, it is absolutely not easy. And I think, as a young person being involved in politics, I think there is some added pressure there, because the reality is there are a lot of people who expect young people to act in a certain type of way, to behave in a childish manner and so forth. And we heard the comments of our own Prime Minister after he ascended to the position of Prime Minister, comments that were made. So I can tell you, I think there is some added pressure for young people involved in politics. But nonetheless, I continue to remain resolute and focus my goals, my ambitions. I continue to have the people of St. Joseph, my people, at heart in everything that I do. The people of St. Joseph have been extremely patient. They have been extremely understanding as to the state of affairs, no fault of our own, of the world. So I can tell you it's not an easy journey, but I think as long as you love what you do, as long as you love people, as long as you have a desire to serve people, these are the prerequisites to be successful in this. So I can certainly say with all humility, with all modesty, that 2025 was a good year, notwithstanding all of the challenges, personal and otherwise. I think it was an amazing year. I continue to give our Creator thanks, for seeing this new year. We continue to remain optimistic that great things are to come for our country and for my constituency, of course, St. Joseph constituency. There are a number of plans that we have that the people of St. Joseph will benefit from. We continue to benefit from in the areas of housing, a number of constituents would have benefited from housing and continue to do so. Of course, as we speak, the Bells Health Center is currently under renovation works. We've seen a number of young people engage on the through employment opportunities all across the board, continue to benefit from scholarships. And the list goes on and on. So all of the programs that this government has implemented, we continue to remain some of the more, we continue to remain beneficiaries of such policies and programs. But Liam, I heard you say that you'll sit on the other side of the fence. But if and when you decide to respond to whatever call is out there, I really wish you the best.
I think maybe the call I might be responding to is maybe running a single, not that political call that you guys are referring to. As I said,
Liam, I think the Parasec made such an important point in this is that it's a challenging thing for people to serve, and sometimes one of the troublesome thing for us, or that worries us a little bit, is the fact that people talk about situations as if we're not part of it as well, as if we don't drive on the same roads and we don't enjoy the same services from the utility companies, as if we are in a different space. And so I think it's unfair to us as parliamentarians, because we do face the same challenges like local people, like everybody do. And sometimes you see in those sort of news items that what are the authorities doing? And I just wanted for the challenge, because as the Ministry of Environment now, we realize that more than ever, people have to play their part. We have a right to have certain privileges and certain comforts, but in that right to have that, we have to take on our responsibility to play our part. So I wanted to plug that in, because I think the listening public are good people, and I think sometimes we look at situations as a glass half empty rather than half full, and that sort of situation is around. But we're part of the community. We feel it. When there's a power outage, we all have no power. When there's a temporary blockage of water lines, we stay without water. We may have to do an abbreviated shower, and so we understand. So we're not different. So I think this is one thing that people have to understand, that we are humans as well. We have feelings, we have emotions, and we try our best to serve in our capacity, because we are so honored to have that opportunity to serve at the highest level and to give that mandate by people who have confidence in the way that we can lead. So then I wanted to plug that in, because this is really part of our work at the ministry, because our work, Liam, is from the forest to the sea, across all of the mountains, the rivers and roads and everything. And sometimes I find we get called upon when there's always an issue, and I think we need the support moving on to how best we can solve some problem. Because I think that apart from the work that we do with our technical staff who are very strong in what they do, we also need the additional voice. So that's from the local person who may have a solution. So I need our listening public to be the part of the solution, rather than keep on us lamenting on the problem itself.
Right, that's very important, Minister. And as you said, now there are a lot of issues that are very loud, as it relates to the Ministry of Environment, and that's not something that we do in terms of running away from the issues. We understand that there are issues, obviously, the solid waste issue. There have been issues in the Debwash area. We also have the geopolitical issues that the Parasec spoke about. So just for maybe not to clear the air, but in terms of moving forward into 2026, understanding that the Ministry of Environment is so important into the development, into the maintenance, and everything Dominica, what can the general public look forward to in 2026 from the Ministry of Environment, Rural Modernization, Kalinago Upliftment, and Constituency Empowerment?
So if I could just look at as an example, the Solid Waste Management Corporation. We have a serious mandate to manage the national solid waste systems, the landfill operations, recycling, diversion, even hazardous waste, and community level waste, white goods, etc. And in 2026, for instance, we want to complete our upgrades in the Fokoli landfill, because this is close to its capacity already. Even when we look at it, it's surpassed its lifespan, and so we're going to set up a recycling shed that was destroyed by Hurricane Maria. We're getting some help from Euroclima, it's a European agency. We also bringing in a set up a horizontal baler that we got out of an OECS project, and we're also looking at how converting plastic into products that we can use. For example, we turn the plastic bottles into chairs, into cups, into commodities we can use. And what we do as a major part also is part of what we spoke about in the parliament at the budget time when we spoke about decentralization of garbage collection. So it means now we're going ahead of starting the country for the best possible places that we could use as collection points that we can manage and recycle material rather than bring all the way to Roseau. So we're doing that. We have been establishing a hazardous waste facility because sometimes in disasters you may have to treat with those wastes. We saw biochemical waste become a big thing for us during the COVID period that we had to manage. It's not common that Solid Waste Management Corporation deal with that stuff. So in 2026, those are the kind of things we're going to do. Physical things you can see, works at the landfill, decentralization, and also recycling and converting waste into what they call in the international circle the circular economy, where we're using can use waste as a resource rather than a problem. And even when we do that, we are doing something very, very important. We are going to have our first ever national solid waste management strategy done. Cabinet has approved a consultant to do that sort of work for us, because we can't keep continuing to do the mandate work in a haphazard way. There has to be a proper strategy moving forward. And during the course of that consultancy, a number of key players will be consulted so that we can have something that truly reflects our country. We may have to, and we look at it very, very in a very strident way, to revise the Litter Act, and we may have to look at increased penalties for that, and also how do we improve our enforcement capability. And so that in a nutshell is what we're going to do. So as you can see, Liam, we are doing things that will be very visible to the eye, but we're also doing things that hinges on policy that will help us to sort of continue to do in solid waste management, for instance. Liam, if we want to just quickly look at Forestry, Wildlife and Parks Division, that's a very big department, sorry, because we're speaking of managing the national parks, the forest reserves, dealing with ecotourism sites, dealing with the harvesting of lumber, treating with protection of various assets across the country. In 2025, we did a lot of work. We started digitalizing the ticket system, and we are going out with that this year. We already started 2 points that we can visitors can actually pay for the tickets online and get that. So we have proper counting, and people can get the service in quick time. We have the national trail segments 4 and 11 are being dealt with. We have routine maintenance of all the sites, because you have to realize that, Liam, that in Dominica it's not easy to rehabilitate sites and trails, because they are far up in the bush. You have to carry material. It takes a certain level of technicality and expertise to do that. We continue doing the upkeep of the botanic gardens. Even this week we are cleaning because rain falls and grass grows and that kind of thing. We have to maintain that, and also we're doing some work with at the park, the Avery, and also improve that sort of work at the Mont Zaplote. So it just in forest protection and reforestation, over 10,000 trees were planted with over 80% survival rate in the last year. There was about 220 patrols conducted to the forest reserve for enforcement and to monitor what's happening. We've been checking on the quarry in the marsh, make sure there's compliance and mitigation done as we continue to do work, and we have been able to restore a lot of buffer points in some very critical watershed areas. So Liam, it's a lot of work, and the work that is done at forestry is not something you will see overnight, because if you're gonna see the effects of a 10 acre plot of mahogany, there will be a few years that you'll have to wait. But this is what we've been doing, and there's been a lot of research and education happening through the research unit. Also, there's the island reforestation, right? Stop stabilization. We've been with tree donations to schools, to the NEP, to community groups, the village councils. We're looking at a massive slope stabilization project from Boadzeb all the way to Fudikanago territory to Pigwa. So all of these are, but in doing that, we realize that there are challenges, Liam, and so there's a high demand for reforestation and beautification. That sort of requires increased plant propagation and industry expansion. So we're doing this. We have to maintain the intensity of the newly rehabilitated sites. So we're going to regulate and fix the revenue systems and also the staffing of those areas. And we also have an issue with invasive species that continue to affect agriculture and also the biodiversity of our country. So it's a lot of key things. But in 2026, we're going to fully deploy the digital ticketing system. We're going to get ready the Kulsufeni Titikosh and set up the access control and safety works. We're going to look at having the expansion of the reforestation to over 18,000 trees in the first quarter of this year, and also we're going to document all our research so that can be made available to the public. So Liam, there's a lot of things actions we have for 2020. But as I say this here, I just want to plug in an important activity that the ministry had last evening at Europatal. We had a wonderful retreat at one of our facilities, the Cabot National Park, to ensure that a whole of ministry approach is taken in dealing with the activities and the projects that we have within our ministry. And so every one of our units understand the work that each other does, and also to be able to support them. And so we ran a 9 to, it like a 7 o'clock Liam last night, and 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. retreat. It was a nice little run. But we didn't only have Liam, the only folks from within our ministries and our departments. We also had partners, stakeholders like the UNDP, UNEP, and folks who are also or what we call our development partners. So that retreat really, for me, set the tone for what will happen during the rest of the year. I just want to say to the listening public that you will hear more of us in this new year, because we're going to bombard you with the work that we're doing, but also to keep on calling on you to help us to make our jobs better, because all of this, the work that we do, will help to make Dominica a better place for the future generations that will inherit what we live.
Yeah, certainly, Minister. Because I was about to just ask you to mention about the partners as well, because the average person wouldn't know the importance of those agencies which assist the drives and the goals of the ministry. And openly, we want to say thank you to them as well for the work and the support that they have been providing. As you said, we had a very fruitful retreat yesterday. It was long, yes, it was long. As you said, it was from 9 to 7 thereabout. But at the end of it, this is what has to be done if we are to achieve our goals, because the ministry is wide and there's a lot of stuff that we have to accomplish. But as you said, the support of the general public is critical. Palsec, I don't know if you want to chime in on anything on that. Okay, we maybe just lost him for a minute. But so Minister, I'm going to play this ad. Just give me a minute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Ad coming up.
Palsec is on.
Okay, Palsec, you there?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
I just asked if you wanted to chime in on what Minister would have spoken on for 2026 and even the retreat yesterday.
Yeah, so very briefly, just a big piggyback of Minister. I think he has covered it all basically, but he hinted to a term, engagement. And I believe, as far as constituency employment faction is concerned, that's what you'll see more of in 2026 and onwards. Earlier on, I made mention of capacity building. So in every respect of that word, engagement, we'll see that being revolved around capacity building. So the things we would like to do is obviously host more educational forums, speak about and sensitize people about waste management, for example, and other areas of the ministry. Assisting young people the preparation of the world of work. So, for example, our targets will be the young boys on the block, the young students at school, seniors at high school, the college students, and so forth, in an effort to prepare them for the world of work through basically teaching them how to prepare for job interviews, how to respond to certain questions, professional attires, and so forth. How to build a proper CV. Basically just empowering people, because that's what our constituency empowerment is about. Of course, as we're on the topic of schools, we would like to engage young people in more physical activities as it relates to the preservation of our environment. So, for example, in planting of trees in strategic ways. So we collaborate, for example, with Forestry Division, seek advice as to what trees should be planted where and for what purpose to achieve what goal. We'll continue our constituency visits in an effort to engage more people. One of the topics that myself and Minister spoke about a few days ago, in the presence of PS, is that we would like to basically mesh a few factions of our ministry. So, for example, looking at NEP and constituency empowerment, one of the things we believe that we can do, because we possess a number of interns with the technical competencies to basically fix their own machines. So we'd like to get into small engine repairs. So instead of sending our machines to steel, we believe that all interns possess the competencies to fix their own machines. So we may very well initiate a program that is going to give them that sort of technical competence to do such. One of the things we'd like to embark on as well is to identify more and more individuals, especially outstanding individuals across the country through their respective constituencies, in an effort to just basically recognize positive ambitions and positive movement, positive people, because we live in a world that can be extremely negative, where people can be negative. So it can be a discouraging thing, especially when you're working very hard and no one notices. So we want to say to the people that, the Ministry of Environment, through the Constituency Empowerment Faction, we hear you, we notice what you're doing, we continue to encourage you to do that which you are doing. So to summarize it in a nutshell, what you'll see more of, what you should expect in 2026 and onwards, is more and more engagement in an effort to move our cause, or to propel our cause and our mission, our ambitions.
All right, thank you very much for that. As I said just before Parsec spoke, I have a short ad that I want us to play, because we're running out of time. So let me just play it and then we continue our discussion.
Feel it, the drums, the rhythm, the spirit. Carnival 2026 comes alive in the Kalinago territory from February 7th to 18th. The celebration ignites on February 7th with the powerful Leve Vaval opening, where traditional drums of thunder. Chate Mas takes a center stage, and we proudly honor our cultural heroes with special awards before the raising of Vaval. The energy surges on Carnival Monday, February 16th, as the Lapo Capit Cultural Street Parade floods the streets with raw rhythm and unstoppable movement, and rises even higher on Carnival Tuesday, February 17th, with the cultural hi-fi street jump up, blending tradition and modern vibes into one unforgettable experience. Then comes the fiery finale on Ash Wednesday, February 18th, the Vaval procession, the dramatic burning of carnival costumes, cultural presentations, and a massive DJ night that brings it all to a powerful close. This is more than carnival. It is heritage, pride, and pure energy. Kalinago Carnival 2026. Come feel the heartbeat of a people. Miss it and blame yourself.
Well, I had to create a little bit of banter between you two.
Yes, Liam.
You know what was said.
I don't know. I know you the music industry that you're excited. I can feel it.
And I wanted to create just a little bit of banter between you two, because what is arguably said that, they said St. Joseph is the best opening of Carnival in Dominica. But then now we kind of putting you on the spot, Minister. You're now opening and going into your Carnival. So I want to know, from that standpoint, what plans do you have for the Kalinago people to top, your colleague on the other side in Parsec?
No. So it's not about topping. My good friend and comrade is on the West Coast. He gives the West Coast a good vibe, a good energy, and I'm going to bring that same energy into the East Coast. And so it's a unique space that we have, and I think we have to continue to, while celebrating culture, get people more immersive and involved in what we're doing. So the Vaval is the end of the season for us in that space, and we invited all Dominicans. Like I suspected, all Dominicans were in St. Joe last Saturday. So I want to invite you to come, all of you to come on Wednesday for the Theory Vaval in the Carnago space. It's going to be at the Jolly Jones this year. Because the original site we have, it's been used now for we build the emergency shelter. And my good friend and brother and also my staff, Willis, that's the voice you heard, very energetic voice. So he said everything I wanted to say, and exciting because we have a unique product, and I think we can have a tidy closing to the season, the carnival season in the carnival space, where we'll see the traditional bringing of the Vaval, the traditional costumes, where we fuse modern aspects of the music and cultural and heritage into some of the old traditional aspects. And I think it will be a good time to really come and have one last lap before the Lenten season takes over.
Well, Pasek, I'm putting you on the spot now because some person said approximately there were 1.2 million persons in St. Joseph for the opening. So I want to hear your view on what Minister just said and your plans for the carnival as we end the program short.
Yes, absolutely. I want to use this opportunity to obviously thank all the patrons who came to St. Joseph last weekend. I think we had a blast. One of the things I'm satisfied about is that it was an incident-free activity. I continue to extend my gratitude to all of the sponsors who made the activity successful. Notable sponsor, of course, our Prime Minister. I continue to extend my gratitude to him. And of course, the Minister of Tourism and National Security. So this St. Joseph, we shouldn't say St. Joseph opening because there's only one carnival opening. But this St. Joseph Carnival, well, I was cautioned. The St. Joseph Carnival has always been profound, has always been large. Over the years, we've seen it grown tremendously. We've seen a lot of growth in the St. Joseph Carnival. We've seen a lot of big bands. I continue to extend my gratitude to bands like Signal Band, like Triple K, and our young upcoming Go Fast music band. They really did a very good job at giving the people what they came for, a good time, more than just that, of course. One of the things that continue to stand out as far as our village carnival is concerned is operating groups, majority of which, of course, are groups from the St. Joseph community. So we continue to put our culture out there, continue to show the nation what we're about. And this is something that will also, we're expecting on Carnival Monday and Tuesday. We're expecting to see our senses on the road. We're expecting our people to come out, to turn out, celebrate good carnival fun. One of the things that absolutely stand out in the carnival season as well is our Juve. A lot of Dominicans, especially those living overseas, look forward to our Juve. It is equally as satisfying as the quote-unquote opening. The St. Joseph Carnival itself, although it's not on the level of the quote-unquote opening, it is equally as fulfilling and enjoyable. For those who participate in Carnival, I can tell you that St. Joseph is well known as, Carnival City, as popularly said. But one thing a lot of people need to understand is that a lot of resources go into the planning of these things. The government subsidizes the cost a lot, a huge margin when it comes to this sort of activities. So we continue to express our gratitude to the Ministry of Tourism for the hosting of such events. But I am extremely humbled. I am very pleased and satisfied by the comments out there as it relates to St. Joseph. We continue to improve in areas which requires improvement. We continue to grow in areas where we are strong. Minister made mention of Vaval. I attended Vaval here before last, I believe, and I think this is the most fun I've ever had at any carnival event. Vaval is just on another level, man. And Minister is smiling because he understands our inside joke where Vaval is concerned. But I will certainly be at Vaval this year. Rest assured, I continue to extend the invitation to everyone at the sound of my voice to the St. Joseph Village Carnival, of course, the Vaval activity.
All right.
So Liam, I want you to say, man, I'm so happy we did this program this morning. I mean, to really speak to what we do at the ministry, but I really want to extend the gratitude really to the wonderful staff that I have at the Ministry of Environment, all the folks at Forestry, at the NEP, at Solid Waste, Constituency Empowerment, Carnival Affairs, and by extension, the whole NEP program people on the road who know go for the tours of to make sure our country is intact, but also to the staff, the accounting staff and the administrative staff of the ministry. That, because we do know, Liam, that the ministry, the number of staff that we have across the board is as big as the public service itself. So it's not easy feat to manage all of that. But special gratitude to them. Also, as a PAL rep, I want to extend a special gratitude to my constituency branch and the leadership there, the people who meet me and advise me and sometimes give me a wake up call. I really want to thank them for that. The Celebrate branch of the Dominican River Party. Also to my family, my wife, my son and my daughter. But also importantly, as we just spoke about Carnival, there's another core group of people who have been helping me in the last few years, the Carnival Events Committee, who are there, who really plan with me the happenings in for Carnival Week, for Indigenous Peoples Day, for Carnival, and these folks are doing this from their heart, and they're excited with it because they want to showcase, or they want to continue to help to showcase the best that comes from our community. So on all fronts, I have good people who surround me, and I really want to thank them for their hard work that they do, and I just want to remind them that this is not going unnoticed, and from time to time we'll take a breather and also unwind and participate in something that will help us to grow and to make the work that we do much better. So Liam, I really want to thank you, and also Liam, the listeners. I know we have a very good following on the Nation Station, and we really want to thank the management of DBS for this time that we have, and even though it's an improved service for me as a power rep, I can now see myself on my screen, and I know this sometimes you are in, when we do the radio on a telephone, it's quite different, so we can see your face and see that they're talking to someone real who can actually do some serious work and impact their lives positively. So Liam, I want to thank you for hosting the show every Thursday. It's tough sometimes because you try to get us on sometimes, and we are busy, we're tied up, and you have to rein us like this morning. Say, hey, we have to do this because we need to talk to the people and keep them engaged. So I really want to thank your leadership as the host there in getting the word out to the general public.
All right, Minister Parsec, we are out of time. In fact, I want to say thank you to DBS for the extra time that they gave us. So before I am escorted outside, I just want to say thank you to you and the Parsec. Thanks to the listeners for listening, and we bring the end to this program by saying next week, I believe the Solid Waste Management Corporation will be on. But as we do, we are going full steam ahead now that we have started with the Minister and the Parsec. So gentlemen, thank you very much again for joining me, and thank you for the listeners for listening.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.